Right, enough. Enough already, I say. And that's probably the theme of today. Enough already. Goodness gracious. Somebody sent me this little video here. It's about 45 minutes long, so it could take a little while to get through it and correct everything that's wrong with it, because I suspect that's going to be a lot, frankly. This is a video that is called Can We Trust the Science of Nutrition? A question of science with Brian Cox. Well, Brian Cox is the last person on this planet that I would trust remotely to profess to me about science of any kind, including the kind of science that he is purported to be some kind of expert in, i.e. particle physics, actually. I'll tell you why. Brian Cox I saw on a panel discussion, perhaps a bit like this one we're going to see here a few years back, where he made a ridiculous and unsupportable statement about the relationship between carbon dioxide gas and some other factor, a ridiculous causal statement that cannot be supported with actual science. And one of the other panelists quite correctly said to Brian, sadly the fact is, you're not looking at a causal relationship here. You're in the wrong, actually, Brian. And Brian responded to that by rudely, arrogantly throwing an associative graph on the floor in front of the desk of the person who quite correctly said, Brian Cox, you're wrong. So in terms of credibility as a scientist, Brian Cox, none. Sorry about that. And in terms of credibility as a reasonable, rational human being that can take it when he's shown to be wrong on something, fail again. So this is going to be interesting, I suspect. Brian Cox, his background, for those that don't know, is that he is currently a professor of particle physics, I believe, at the University of Manchester, I believe. That's a position that he got to not via having a stellar and outstanding academic career. That's not the only way you get to be a professor, by the way. There are many other ways, including bringing in a large amount of money somehow, or indeed bringing in a lot of good public press for the place that you're employed by, in this case the University of Manchester, I believe. And he did that by becoming a popular BBC presenter, not by actually doing any good science. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but we just need to be aware that Professor Brian Cox is not a great source of information, is not a great scientist, never has been. In fact, his background before that was he used to play keyboards in a band that was relatively famous at one point. Go and look that one up if you don't know about that one. Hilarious. Anyways, let's see who's in the chat. Ribeye Rob was first. Good to see you, Rob. The UK. Good, yes. We've got some UK natives here at the moment, here in Pimbatia. She's having her steak and eggs and steak for her breakfast. Delicious. That's what she's doing. She's probably finished by now. There's that. Rob watched this film earlier and suggests that I'm going to have a field day. Well, there you go. It's quite likely, I would suggest, Rob. David's here. Good to see you. Florida is representing. The farm mom. We love us some farm mum up in here. No, Lucy's not gone. She's out there having a breakfast. She's having steak and eggs and steak. And then I suspect they're all out the back to do some hard labour in the salt mines here at Pimbatia. There's all sorts going on, building projects, repair works and things. Lucy will be back on Sunday, I believe, for the next live stream. I think that's the plan. Good to see that Oregon is represented. Sandy's here. Good to see you. Did I have a deep sleep? No, I didn't. Yeah, no. In the house, greetings for all from Ellen. Very good. Yeah, very good. I saw this talk about snoring. I don't know what that's all about. Dean's here. Good to see you. Anyway, and a bunch of other bigots up in here. We'll get started so that it doesn't go on too long. But basically, we're going to hear about whether or not we can trust the science of nutrition. And I shall do my usual thing, i.e. pause the video as and when I see fit, even in the middle of a sentence if I see fit. If you don't like that, you're in the wrong place. If that's triggering for you, off you pop. But I will be doing that. I'll be pausing the video often to correct things that are wrong, and I suspect it'll be many things. Thank you, Juliet, for the $1.99. Appreciate that very much. Great to see you. Ron's here. Good to see you, Ron. Good to see how active you've been on social media too in the last few weeks. That's been very obvious. I've seen you around the place a lot. Very, very good indeed. All right. Anyway, let's crack on and hear about whether we can trust nutrition science according to Brian Cox. World-leading experts. X is an unknown quantity and a spurt is a drip under pressure. Good. And who's to say who a world-leading expert is? Because a lot of people think Brian Cox is a world-leading expert. No, he's not. He's a popular BBC presenter that used to play keyboards. There we go. You mean the anti-science of nutrition, the pseudoscience of nutrition, the theology of nutrition, the bought and paid for theology of nutrition, Brian? Oh, Jesus, you're looking well, Brian, by the way. Whew. So you're saying you cannot hear the video? You can't hear the video. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of the video and we'll take it out of the stream and we will do this another way around is what we will do. Technical difficulties is right. So what we need to do is, excuse me, talk amongst yourselves. Welcome to Amateur Hour. I shall get rid of this from here. Just making sure you heard. Just making sure you heard. That's funny, isn't it? All right, so we'll get rid of that there. And what we'll do is we will do this, and we will do this, and we will do this, and we will do that. And it should all be tickety-boo, really, from that point. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. Let's try this. Can you hear that? Is that better?
Hello, I'm Brian Cox, and this is A Question of Science recorded here at the Francis Crick Institute. In each episode, we assemble a panel of world-leading experts.
Right, so world-leading experts. Who's to say they're world-leading experts?
To tackle your questions about some of the biggest scientific challenges we face today, from AI to climate change, from cancer to consciousness. And today's discussion concerns the science of nutrition.
The anti-science of nutrition, the theology of nutrition, the bought and paid for ring-fenced area of ideology known as nutrition science, Brian. That. Okay.
About half of the UK population deemed to be overweight and a quarter classified as obese. Never has this question of what we eat been more important. We've all seen the headlines about ultra-processed foods and social media influencers who claim to know how to stay slim or be more healthy.
Well, some of them do, Brian. Others not so much.
But what does the science tell us?
Well, exactly. Not very much science. Not very much, Brian. Brian's not the science. I'm the science. Trust me, I'm safe and effective. I know how to stay slim and healthy. Don't question the science, even though that's how you do science.
We've assembled a panel of experts to explore your...
According to whom, on the basis of what? I don't recognise any of these people at all, not one of them. How are they world-leading experts? How the purple fuck does that work?
Questions about nutrition, and they are.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Giles Yeo. I'm a professor at the University of Cambridge, where I studied the genetics of body weight, so why people are small, medium, and large in the current food environment that we actually live in.
Right, okay, so you're an idiot.
Hello, I'm Christina Vogel, Professor of Food Policy and Director
That's a name I have heard, but I wouldn't have recognised if I fell across her in the street.
of the Centre for Food Policy at City St George's, University of London, and I lead a range of research projects that really aim to inform policy and practice to redesign our food systems.
Ah, yes, but have you finished your homework, love, and helped Mummy with the dishes first, perhaps?
So that everyone can achieve a healthy and sustainable diet.
Hello, I'm Dr. Saliha Mahmood Ahmed. I work in the NHS on the front line as a gastroenterologist. I work
Right, so you know nothing about nutrition whatsoever then. Your training is allopathic medicine.
in northwest London. I cook, I eat, and I won
Oh, well, you must be an expert in food then if you cook and eat. Goodness, well, that's me put in my place.
MasterChef in 2017.
Oh, you're into MasterChef as well. Well, Jesus Christ.
But my real passion is treating digestive health problems.
I'm Nita Puruhi. I'm a professor of population health and nutrition, a public health doctor, and
Right, so another medic. So which one of those people is actually an expert in human nutrition? Not fucking one of them. The International Expert Panel, not one of them is an expert in human nutrition. Wow. And yes, I think you're quite right. I think you're quite right about the young lady who should have been doing her homework instead of being on TV. We could be wrong, but let's pick it now. Okay, place your bets whether or not she's going to be a foaming, retarded, rabid fucking vegan. All right, let's go.
I head research in understanding
Research and understanding, good.
how diet links to health and disease, and I do this in all different types of populations in the UK, in Europe, and in global populations such as in South Asia and so on. And I'm based at the University of Cambridge.
And this is our panel.
Right, and I'm not impressed already.
So before we get into the
A professor in anti-veganism, excellent. Welcome, Professor.
detail, we thought we'd start with a relatively light-hearted question to introduce the panel. And we were thinking about what we should ask. And we came up with, what is your favourite food?
Oh, here we go.
And in your
Why is that funny? What is your favourite food?
professional opinion, what should you replace it with? So we'll start with that. Giles.
First of all, do as I say, not as I do. No,
Yeah, I say that too. So, but that doesn't mean he's less of an imbecile.
my favorite dish actually is something called Hainanese chicken rice. My mom's dad is Hainanese. I know how to cook it. It's poached chicken. Okay, and you take the liquor and you make everything else with it: chicken, the rice, the sauce, and the chili sauce.
That sounds healthy.
No, I know exactly. So
That's why you don't listen to Brian Cox. Because he's got many opinions, but not a fucking single clue underpins any one of them.
I'm not going to replace it with anything, but it is divine.
Christina.
So I was going to say,
Also, notice on a largely UK-based panel, an entirely UK-based panel, I should say, that, well, you can see it for yourselves, can't you? The representation here. Interesting, isn't it?
avocado on toast, smothered in olive oil with salt and pepper.
Yeah, there we go. I think that answers our question, doesn't it, kiddies?
But then I was thinking, well, what should I replace it with? Probably broad beans that are
Yeah, there we go. It absolutely drips from every fucking pore, doesn't it? Yeah.
sourced locally in the UK and maybe not olive oil. But actually, I think my real answer is Tim Tams. And what
Oh my God. For those that don't know, that's a kind of chocolatey biscuit, a cookie.
should I replace it with? Well, Brits would say penguins, but they are not the same.
I don't even know what penguins are. I lived in the UK for 11 years and I have no idea what that's supposed to be.
Celia?
I'm a massive crisp fiend. So
That's potato chips, French fries.
crunchy, crispy. Oh, I can't have one packet of crisps. I have to have multiple.
Okay, so that's not French fries, that's potato chips. Sorry.
And what would I replace them with? Well, nothing, because crisps are just wonderful. However, I may look at the ingredients list and perhaps choose some kettle chips one day over something that's really, really full of the nasty stuff. But I will eat crisps.
Anita?
I love Indian food as well as a lot of other cuisines. And my go-to breakfast
Steak and eggs and eggs. I bet it's not.
is aloo paratha which
I was right.
I don't know how many of you know that, but it's a double whammy of lots of potatoes
Right, so some oxalate, yes.
and lots of white flour,
Right, so some gluten to go with your oxalate, yeah.
and it's fried in
Well,
ghee.
the ghee's great. Maybe you should have just eaten the ghee.
So that is my favorite,
Not
but
to mention all the unnecessary carbohydrates, the indigestible, gut-destroying fibre. Whew. Anyway,
knowing what I do, I try to replace it, and I often succeed, with chickpea flour instead.
well, what makes you think that's any better? You can see where this is going already, can't you, kiddies?
And making what's called a chila instead, which is great nutritionally.
Well, thank you.
No, it fucking isn't. No, wrong. Absolutely false. Garbage.
So with that, let's go to the first audience question.
Hi, my name is Judith Cousin. I want to know why so much nutritional and dietary advice is conflicting.
Because there's no science to answer any questions, it's all theology, and theology is underpinned by both opinions and by money. If we had the science, we'd have the answers, there'd be no fucking discussion to be had. In the way that there is absolutely no discussion to be had around the shape of our planet. We know what the shape of it is. Unequivocally, no question. The same would be true in nutrition were there any science extant. There isn't. That's why this discussion continues.
How do I trust what the panel members are saying in contrast to the podcaster who's telling me everything I've been told is wrong and I should listen to them instead?
Well, you shouldn't listen to this panel because not one of them is an expert in human nutrition. Not one of them.
Celia?
It's a really interesting one. Anyone who sees nutrition in black and white is probably giving you an incorrect answer, because most nutrition, I personally feel, exists in a shade of grey.
What does that even mean, love? You're quite correct in what you're saying, I think, if I get the point of what you're actually trying to get at there. Maybe you should have used clear black and white language to describe the problem. I'll do it for you. There is no experimental science available on human nutrition that we can lean on to give us the answer of what is good for us and not good for us in terms of hard health outcomes, short, medium, or long term. It does not exist. Ergo, we have theology. That's pretty black and white, isn't it?
Which is what makes it so sexy, to be honest.
Oh my God. She's not bad, but nutrition science, so-called? No, that's not sexy.
As a
Neither is that.
as a topic of study. So I think what I'm very
Hello, Joff. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Yes, a panel of experts they are, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. They haven't got not a Dr. Michael Greger. Yes, there we go. Flour is really good for us. Of course it isn't. Yep. All right, very good.
personally wary of social media or other messages where a particular viewpoint is being pushed very aggressively. And my advice to people is to question that, because
Okay, push anything that's put in front of you, question anything that's pushed in front of you aggressively. Sure, but why not question everything that's offered to you? Whether it's aggressively or not. What does the aggression have to do with it? See, the thing is, any statement put in front of you by anybody is either correct, incorrect, or conditionally correct or incorrect. It's kind of like a continuum, really. And the aggression with which it's put in front of you has no bearing on which of those it actually is, does it? No.
many other parts of science, there isn't really a black and white to this.
Right, so there isn't any nutrition science. We don't have the answers. It's theology, it's guesswork. It's bought and paid for. She really is quite cute, isn't she? Lovely.
And I suppose implicit in the
He's not.
question is, where should you go?
We have to acknowledge that social media is where people are looking for nutrition-based advice.
Yes, that's because they can't get any from fucking science. Can they? That's why they have to look elsewhere. If they could get it from science, they would.
And therefore, credible nutrition professionals,
Such as whom? Name one. And tell me what makes them credible. Because again, credible is a value judgment statement, isn't it? Credible according to whom? On the basis of what? Don't know.
Need to have a bigger social media presence and need to be heard, and they need to get out of the discomfort that social media puts them in and really put their messages out there.
Christina?
Misinformation around nutrition is very prevalent.
Yes, and I suspect a lot of it comes from you, love. Let's be honest.
And what I guess I'm interested in is the root cause of that. And I think it's because food is a commodity. People are trying to make money on food.
Oh, really? Fuck me, there's a new one. People are trying to make money on food. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious.
And that actually inherently means that disinformation, misinformation makes money because it confuses people. Our food industry has a real role to play and they do an excellent job at feeding us.
No, they don't. They do an excellent job at feeding us lies.
But we also all genuinely know what we should be having.
No, we don't, clearly. Obviously and patently. What an absolutely fucking ridiculous statement.
In the 1970s, actually what really was linked to cardiovascular incidents and
Here we go. Linked to. What does that mean, love? Linked to.
poor health then was eating too much meat.
There we go. I told you. I fucking told you, didn't I? Before this ridiculous charlatan even opened her rancid, pustulous, stinking fucking shithole mouth, we knew, didn't we? There it is. Right there. Okay. No, meat does not cause cardiovascular events to occur. False. Absolutely false. Completely false.
And what happened was the lobbying and the influence of the meat industry in America actually diluted that and made it about nutrients, which then made it more confusing for consumers. And that's when nutrients really started to enter into dietary guidelines.
Gosh, imagine that. People that are interested in nutrition wanting to know about nutrients. Stunning revelation there from this ridiculous, retarded imbecile on the screen right now.
We eat foods, we're interested.
Do we? Fuck me, we eat foods. Some of us do. This individual here could probably do with some of that.
We eat in foods in combination and meals, and actually that's how we understand foods. And I think Michael Pollan has a really great sort of slogan
Michael Pollan, who is also not an expert in human nutrition.
to follow: eat food, not too much, mainly plants.
False. Complete garbage. That is the worst possible advice you can give a human being about their nutrition. And if you had any doubt that what I just said to you is correct and valid, are we done? They're not, it seems.
Nita?
Yeah, so I think nutrition science is really complex.
No, that's not how you pronounce absent, non-extant, a fantasy. It's not complex. It does not fucking exist. Still.
And that's why there's so much conflict out there. I
No, the
would
conflict is because the science is not there. Still.
say it's hard to assess, to measure diet. There aren't really very many objective ways of doing it. We rely on people, what they tell us.
Well, yes, that's a problem.
But I think we also need to remember that nutrition science, like all other
Are two words you should not be putting together in the same sentence, as that relates to human beings and hard health outcomes of any kind over any period of time. Are we done?
science, good nutrition science does evolve. So there
No,
are
it does not exist still. What part of this are you finding it difficult to understand? Clearly all of it.
changes and evolution of science to get better answers with better methods. And
No, science, the epistemology of science is really, really clear. It's a discipline that requires a certain standard of inference. If you want to make a claim about cause and effect at all, then you are required to meet certain benchmarks. If you don't meet those benchmarks, you are not doing good science. Science doesn't get better and better and better. Science is either being done or it isn't being done. And in the case of human nutrition, it is not being done, and it won't ever be done because, drum roll, you can't do experiments on human beings. It's not practical financially, practically, nor ethically. We're done here. This will always be an area of theology, propaganda, and bought and paid for agenda pushing. It seems by imbeciles.
I think a third thing that's really important here is nutrition science gets played out in public view.
No, it doesn't, because it still isn't being done. Any of it. Still.
Way more than absolutely any other science that I'm aware of. And everyone
It's quite clear that you're not aware of what science even is, love. So perhaps you should probably shut your ignorant hole, get yourself off that chair, go and sit in the audience, shut your mouth, open your ears, and you might learn something. My dear grandmother, bless her, used to say when she was alive, that son, she used to say to me, you have 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. That is the proportion in which they ought to be used. She was quite right. Anyway, what's next?
feels they know food because everyone eats, right? And they're deeply held beliefs and perceptions about food, even emotive, feelings about food. So we need good podcasts, hopefully like this one,
No, not like this one. This one's rubbish already.
where we talk solid science.
No, you don't. You're talking absolute, errant garbage. You're talking postulous, excremental theology. Science hasn't even been mentioned yet, any actual allusion to science. Just the word science is being bandied around without any comprehension or understanding that as regards human health outcomes and human nutrition, no science exists still. None.
Giles, this is relevant to many areas of science, isn't it? How to communicate not only uncertainty, but also the progression of knowledge. So the fact that advice changes as we acquire more knowledge. I suppose, as Nita said, food, you kind of, maybe the assumption is, well, our grandparents knew all there is to know about healthy eating.
The problem
They do a hell of a lot more than what we do.
is, I think there is a failure in the communication, not of data, in which a lot of us communicate, but in the scientific method. That we are literally paid to argue with each other, scientists, and then change our mind should our mind need to be changed. And so that needs to be put out there. And this includes nutritional science. It's
Which still doesn't exist.
a very public science. I can see what's in your plate at a restaurant. I can see what's in your shopping trolley at the supermarket. And I can equate it to your body and think, right? And we all do this. I don't do it, but we all do this.
Of course you don't. Of course you're not at all judgmental, are you? Cute shirt, by the way.
We all do this. But ultimately, I think we have to crack that.
Why is it such a complex area to study? Is it to do with the fact that you're talking about whole populations and
It's because you can't do controlled experiments on human beings, Brian. It's very simple. Why can't you get your head around that?
large data sets and so on?
So I think it's the sheer volume of what diet is.
What does that even fucking mean? To listen to those words, put those words together in a sentence, run it over your mind several times. What do you think this ridiculous woman just said?
So if you ask all of us, and indeed the panel, the audience members, we'll all have different definitions, and there are hundreds of thousands of variables within it. So to break it down, essentially, it is overall dietary patterns
Which mean nothing. That's not science. Still.
within which you eat foods, and then foods get translated into nutrients like what we all know about: fats, carbohydrates, protein, and thousands of micronutrients, vitamins, minerals. So that's the complexity. And what happens is people are just picking off, oh, I'll study vitamin C. Or somebody else will say, but I want to study the Mediterranean diet.
Doesn't exist. What's that?
Or ultra-processed foods. And
What's that?
then we play it off against each other. That's the complexity.
Thank you, poor Dennison. Appreciate that. $10 US. Ted will use that for some nefarious purpose. Won't you, Ted? Yes, I will use that for some nefarious purpose. I knew you'd say that. He always agrees with me, Ted. It's because he understands the law here about hate speech.
And then there's a fundamental scientific issue
Here we go. This will be interesting.
of which it's difficult in terms of with a nutritional study to do the two things you need to do.
You said difficult to do. You were nearly there, pal. The word you were looking for was impossible to do. impossible. Cannot be done. You're so close. It's a shame for you.
To really get a gold standard. Like if you're testing a drug, okay, it's easy
You can't do it with drugs either, for God's sake. That's not a good analogy.
to blind because you have a true placebo. You
No, you don't. 99 times out of 100. What a load of rubbish.
can blind the person giving the drug, you can blind the person taking the drug, you break it, there's no bias at all. You can't blind someone on a keto diet and you can't placebo intermittent fasting. So it has to be observational. So I think fundamentally, with this specific field of science, it's always going to be difficult because you can't double blind control.
Right, so you can't do science. Thank you very much. We're done. Because that's what the required level of controllers, that's the required epistemology to make cause and effect statements. Now, if you want to say we have an inference here, fine, I've got no problem with that. Inferences are fine, so long as you then disclaim your inference as being of pretty poor quality, actually. But people don't do that, do they? So-called nutrition, so-called scientists. They claim to know all about cause and effect. This causes that, they say. Great, where's your evidence for that? Does not exist. Okay, right, so you're a pseudoscientist, you're a theologist, you're a theologian.
Well, we have a question actually from the audience which goes feeds into this discussion about the complexity.
Hi, my name's Barbara Shiechko, and I want to know if it's possible to scientifically measure the impact of food additives and emulsifiers on humans, given that our DNA, lifestyle, and environments are all different, as well as the cocktail effect of consumption of different foodstuffs.
I think
Right, the answer is no. No, we can't do that.
you can test each individual thing, a specific emulsifier, not emulsifiers in general, because there's a whole class
They
of
tested against what? According to whom? Against what standard? You were doing well, and now you've gone right off the fucking rails again.
things in itself. You can say that, okay, this is some weird emulsifier. We want to know if it's toxic.
Weird, that's a very scientific term there. Weird. Scientists don't use words like weird to describe scientific investigations.
And so we're not going to feed it to a human being. So
So there's the problem. There it is. See?
you have to use other studies in order to
Well, what other studies? Because if you can't feed the thing to the animal that you're proposing it's going to be a problem for, a human being, then what are you going to do? What other studies? There is no other option. If you want to test the effect of something on a given organism, you have to feed that thing to that organism under control. Ethics committees won't allow that. We're done. Jesus H. Christ on a bicycle. Why is this hard to understand?
then determine, first of all, is it toxic? No. All right. Is eating too much of it going to increase risk for the disease?
Risk, you say. Okay, whose risk? My risk? Your risk? Auntie Floss's risk? And if it's my risk we're talking about, on what basis? Because I haven't been through that test. Nobody's fed me anything. So how do we know what my risk is? There are no studies that can inform on risk either. Okay? Let's get this straight, for God's sake.
Yes or no? And that's just one emulsifier. Then you break it down. Then you go, okay, then this E number. E number sounds scary, but not all E numbers are bad. And you sort of move from one to the
There they are.
other. The issue is asking the specific variable rather than saying fats, emulsifiers, and
Yeah, but that doesn't make the difference though, does it? Because we still aren't doing any fucking science. Still. Delimiting the nonsense so it's slightly less nonsensical doesn't mean that that's acceptable as a standard to infer cause or effect of any kind. It still isn't.
things like
I
that.
suppose maybe there's an assumption there. Maybe that's too strong. That
No, it's not too strong. There are many, many assumptions being made.
additives are
Wow, you really look like shit, Brian. I'm sorry to say. What's going on, son?
bad. So additives, emulsifiers. So fresh, locally grown produce is
I know I'm no spring chicken myself, but goodness.
by default the best thing to do. Is it too simplistic to just say, well, avoid additives? Celia?
I think it's a really interesting question. I spend a lot of time with patients sort of demystifying the fact that not all foods fall into the category of good and bad. Okay. And yes, we are understanding more about emulsifiers and in my field, the impact that they might have on
See, I think, what about might? Might's a great word, isn't it? Because it leaves maybe not two on the table entirely,
our gut microbiome and gut health.
which we know almost nothing about.
But fundamentally, there will be foods which contain emulsifiers that still have other things which are beneficial for you in them. So I'm always very concerned when we have this approach whereby in nutrition and in food, we vilify certain food items.
Like meat, that shouldn't be vilified. That's the very thing that we've evolved on. Isn't it, you ridiculous turd? Not this woman, this lovely woman here. I mean, this stupid blonde. The ridiculous theological, clearly vegan turd blonde woman. Vilifying an entire food group wholesale because of her theological devotion to veganism, I suspect. No place for that ridiculous turd on this panel. Get her off.
And say, well, all of this category of food is bad for you.
There you go, see? That's that blondie being told. Good on you, lovely.
But I do believe, as you've said, that actually there needs to be more science
Well, any at all would be good. Some science. There isn't any, still.
to be able to, for us to get to a position where we can give population level guidance to people.
No, you see, this is where you're going wrong again there, lovely. There's where you went wrong. You see, here's what we should do. We, meaning society. Here's what the government should be telling people about nutrition. Absolutely fucking nothing. That is not a role of government. You have no business as a government telling your people what they should and should not be eating. None at all. It's none of your goddamn business what people put in their mouths, chew and swallow. For example. Now, a scientific community that was being at all responsible would suggest quite clearly, quite openly with the public that they are unable to do any science to answer any cause and effect questions about hard health outcomes in human beings as it relates to any aspect of nutrition. Instead, they pretend to be able to answer questions meaningfully. That is disgraceful. That is misleading the public. That's telling them you can do something that you cannot do. Okay?
About how much emulsifier is an okay amount to have.
Well, no, that's not your role as a scientist at all. No.
And how much of a role does legislation play?
Too much.
Because clearly there are particular substances and additives that will be outlawed at some point. So what's the balance between legislation and then information and choice?
I think there's an issue of which what is poisonous, and that
Right? So that would require some science, wouldn't it?
I think that is a black and
think we
white
all
line
agree on
that we can go with.
It's not black and white. Toxicity is not black and white.
I think it's this concept of risk.
Oh, right, here we go again. Risk. Okay. Whose risk? On the basis of what? According to whom? Risk is a cause and effect inference. It requires experimental science. Do you have any of that? No? Still?
Right? I mean, come on. Smoking is still legal.
Oh my God, are you out of your fucking mind? This is the argument that is thrown around in nutrition circles almost invariably, almost ubiquitously. The example of smoking and lung cancer is brought up just about in every one of these discussions. That is entirely fucking irrelevant. Combusting something and breathing the combustion products into your lungs has nothing remotely to do with what foods or food-like substances people put into their bodies. Nothing at all. Neither do the outcome statistics around the incidence of lung cancer relate in any way, numerically, to anything that's been identified in the so-called prospective cohort work that's possible in human nutrition. Orders of magnitude difference between these results. Not the same thing, not an appropriate thing to bring up in a discussion about nutrition. It just shows desperation, destitution of comprehension of science, and it's an obfuscation, it's smoke and mirrors, propaganda. Look over there, nice shiny thing, smoking though. Shut up, you imbecile. For goodness sake.
Legal and alcohol is legal, and both are toxic. Okay, I love alcohol. This is not, but both are toxic. So I think that public health is an interesting space in a complex field because there's always this tension in public health behind how much personal liberty are you willing to lose.
None at all. I will stand shoulder to shoulder with anyone who will stand with me against any and all invasions against my personal liberties that anybody wants to try and impose on me for the rest of my life. It will not be happening. I wish more of you out there would grow a similar sort of backbone.
Yes.
For the greater good of society. Now, this tension is going.
No. The only thing a person is responsible for is the greater good of themselves and of their dependents, their immediate family to whom they are responsible. Nobody else.
To have to be accepted by society. It's going to be culturally specific, but
No, it doesn't have to be any such thing. That's a choice.
you got to get society on board.
No, you don't. False.
Whatever the science says. So
Science doesn't fucking say anything. We've covered this. It makes noise, but it doesn't provide any information. None at all.
that you don't get a riot. We're nowhere.
If you get a riot, you send in the fucking army, if you've bothered to pay for having an army. Unlike here in New Zealand, where I believe our entire deployable defence force is something like 2,000 people with no fucking kit. Awesome. Maybe we should spend more money on that and less on other ridiculous nonsense.
Near there with food, because whenever we discuss food, there is hysteria. We talk about one thing is bad, one thing is good, etc., etc.
This whole conflict between personal liberties and personal choice, yes, but at the moment we don't really have personal choice.
That's the first thing she said that was remotely sensible on any topic so far. That's right, we don't. Because people lack the backbone, the spine to stand up, look that person in the eye and say, you're not going to fucking interfere with my personal liberties. I'm not going to have that. No. I have the absolute right to conduct my life in the way I see fit, so long as I'm not interfering with the rights of anybody else.
You know, the cost of fruit and veg is double per calorie what.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Number one, the requirement in the human diet for fruit and vegetables is none ever, so that's not actually a problem. Unless it's your choice to eat fruits and vegetables, in which case that's what it is, it's your choice. And the market price prevails. That's how it fucking works. And secondly, calories, you say. Well, Jesus Christ. Calories. I think I've covered that with enough detail already.
What high-fat, salt-sugar foods are. Our high streets are absolutely dominated by fast food and takeaway and convenience outlets.
So, that's a market-driven thing.
So people that are at risk of obesity and poorer diet.
Well, people are either obese or they are not. There's a measurement that they can make on that. There's no such thing as risk of that. It's either in play or it isn't. And again, poorer diet, well, that's a value judgment statement. And in this case, it's a value judgment statement being made by an imbecile who doesn't know anything about it. This is an imbecile who supports and promotes a vegan diet, clearly, which makes her the stupidest motherfucker on this entire panel, even dumber than Brian Cox, and that's saying something.
It's largely being shaped by their food environments. And marketing is a whole nother level. Do you know, we are bombarded by adverts, not for fruit and veg, not for beans and pulses, but for a whole lot of foods that are high in fat, salt and sugar. And that is where it is.
Well, what's wrong with fat, so long as it's the right kind of fat, not a damn thing. Same deal with salt. Salt's perfectly okay, of the right kind and the right amount. Sugar's the one that you should avoid. But by the way, all those plant materials that you're promoting, lovely, guess what they break down to when you eat them? Oh, yeah. Fucking idiot.
Important that government take a role.
No, it's not. Government has no place whatever in interfering in people's lives of what they eat. None at all. That is not a role of central government. Inappropriate. Wrong.
In encouraging and nudging and supporting industry to reshape our food environment so that they match our Eat Well guide.
Your Eat Well guide is absolute fucking nonsense. It's pseudoscience. It's erroneous to its very core. It makes absolutely contraindicated suggestions to people about how they should eat, and the thing should be scrapped. This is an exact example of what I'm talking about, of why the government has absolutely no business whatever telling people what to eat. None at all, still.
The estimated cost is about 90 billion per year of obesity and poor diet on productivity as well as NHS. So productivity.
Well, you choose to live in a country where the socialist model seems to rule, ergo the NHS is funded by the taxpayer. The solution to this is you make the individual responsible. You pay for your own health care. If you have an obesity-related problem, you pay for it. If your productivity is lost, you can't go to work because of an obesity-related problem, guess whose problem that is? Yours. Simple. Done. What's next?
Losses. So people being sick and not being able to work.
Right, well, there you go. Buyer beware.
Well, we do have a question, actually, the next question on the interaction between medical advice and nutritional advice.
That's right.
Hi, my name's John Wojcikow. Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine."
Yes.
Why isn't food and the science of nutrition
Because there isn't any science of nutrition. I can answer your question before you've even finished.
utilised a lot more in medical advice and treatment?
Because you can't make a lot of money by prescribing someone food of any kind. The whole allopathic fraternity, medical procedures, all of it is all underpinned by big old dollars from big old pharma. They have their way of doing things, and that is in generating these molecules, these drugs that we feed to people that only ever manage symptoms and never cure any disease process of any kind. That's how the money is made. And that huge amount of money is then pumped back into the medical schools. Okay, it's pretty straightforward.
Celia.
Yeah, he was a clever man, Hippocrates, wasn't he? And he knew this so many years BC, didn't he? Why do I think it doesn't happen? First of all, for many, many years, nutrition wasn't taught in medical school very
And it still isn't.
well. So
And it still isn't.
there is a huge lack of food-based knowledge in a whole, not even one, multiple generation of doctors, actually. Now, even when you do become a doctor, taking a nutrition history from a patient is quite a nuanced task to do, and
And it's impossible because most people can't remember what they had for breakfast last Tuesday, let alone their eating patterns for a lifetime. It's not that they actively, although some people do actively lie about what they've been eating, absolutely. But mostly people want to be obvious, want to be honest about what they've been eating, but they simply cannot remember accurately. Okay, straightforward.
takes a bit of time. And actually, when you're in the thick of it and you've seen a patient in the middle of A&E, sometimes the priority at that moment in time is not taking the nutrition history. But I am personally very deeply passionate that in clinic settings where we see patients more electively, we're trained to do nutrition-based histories.
No, you're not. You're trained to do the best that you possibly can, but the best that you can possibly do is not good enough. It's nowhere close. Don't pretend it is. It isn't.
To take a non-judgmental approach.
What the fuck has judgment got to do with it? For goodness sake.
And actually, that involves providing practical advice.
Yeah, but as a medical professional, love, you have no business giving anybody advice about nutrition. None at all. Still, zero. No business doing that.
And I go as far as saying, okay, well, what are the foods that you like? And how can we adjust or manipulate your diet so we include some of the things that you still like? Because there's no point, I feel, giving someone a picture of the Eat Well guide.
Well, just stop right there. You're quite right. There is no point putting the Eat Well guide in front of anybody. It's fucking nonsense. It's absolutely contraindicated disinformation to its very core. It's rubbish. It has no utility. It has no business in society. It is not based around science. It is an opinion put together by fucking imbeciles. All right? What's next?
And saying to them, well, you've got fatty liver disease, you need to lose weight and come back to me with better liver function tests, eat like this, when, you know, they may not be able to afford any of the food on the Eat Well guide. They've maybe never eaten the types of food that you're presenting to them. So, yet I think there's a lot of work yet to be done.
Peter.
Yeah, and to add to that, at the moment we have a disease service, not a prevention or a health service, largely.
That's right. We have a symptom management service. It's a disservice, actually.
So we only get to see the dietitian.
Oh my God, the last person on the planet you should ask about nutrition is a dietitian. For goodness sake. The last person on the planet.
Pretty much when we've already become overweight or obese, or we've had diabetes or a heart attack or a stroke or cancer and so on. So I think that model needs to shift as well.
Well, first of all, the shift needs to be that we need to understand that dietitians are not trained in human nutrition. They are trained monkey grinders. They are told what they think. They are told how to arrogantly espouse their ridiculous claptrap to an unsuspecting public. They are discouraged actively from independent thought. They know nothing of the epistemology of science whatsoever. Goodness gracious.
And there's evidence that when people go on better, healthier food, their weight comes down, their glucose control improves, and so on.
There's a question I just wanted to ask from the audience, from Dan Twining, who said, why can't scientists and food manufacturers make healthy food that tastes as good as unhealthy food?
They can, if they wanted to, and if they knew what that was.
So, which is actually quite a deep question, isn't it? Why are we drawn?
Why is everything so fucking hilarious for these people? Other than, actually, that kind of laughter belies and betrays a deep level of discomfort with sitting there pretending to be something you're not and to know stuff about something that you don't know dick about.
No, it is a deep question. I once did a talk for a major confectionery manufacturer about obesity. And the guy asked about this particular chocolate bar. Well, what should we do?
Well, you should stop selling that.
And I said, you need to make this chocolate bar taste like a chocolate bar, look like a chocolate bar, cost as much as a chocolate bar, but not be a chocolate bar. But it's true. It is true. And
so we should turn it into some chemical shitstorm instead? Seriously?
I think the problem is the right incentives. And yes, I realize that the best thing is to eat whole.
The good news, of course, about all of this is that the BBC is soon to be a thing of the past. And I can't fucking wait.
Foods. But if we are pragmatic about the situation, that we need to deal with the foods that are there. I do believe the science is there.
Well, then you're a fucking imbecile. There it is. That's the reason you should shut your fucking mouth right now about anything to do with nutrition science and never again open it. There it is. Laid bare for all to see. No, you fucking don't know anything about science. There it is. Okay, what's next?
Expertise is there to reconstruct some of the foods there to make them healthier. Will they ever be healthy? We debate that, but healthier. We just need to put the right incentives in place. And I think the right incentives, without sounding like a Reaganite, is going to be market. And I think what you've got to do is to either through government intervention.
See, the allusion there to a ridiculous theological, basically unacceptable political standpoint. I'm saying something that's quite right that Reagan would have said quite rightly, but I don't want to have anything. I don't want to be tarred with the brush as a Reaganite. You ridiculous cunt. What's next?
Or something, legislate the changing of food system to something healthier, so that the companies will actually do it.
Why are we drawn to things like crisps, for example? Let's take it. So this salty, high-fat thing.
Well, you've answered the question. Salty, high-fat. We are genetically programmed to seek that out and enjoy it.
What is it? It's our evolutionary history, I suppose.
Yes.
There is an evolutionary history. I mean, well, look, we're all mammals, last I checked, and so we drink milk. And so what is the role of a baby mammal? All baby mammals, when they pop out, is to latch on to the highest energy source of food available, the boob, okay, and to grow quickly to avoid becoming tiger food. Now, this is ultimately still ingrained within us, which means eating high energy foods. Now, when you think about milk,
It's nothing to do with energy, you ignorant twat. Energy is a construct. Energy has basically, to all intents and purposes, nothing whatever to do with metabolic process or growth. Kindly educate yourself before the next time you open your mouth publicly, because this is absolutely unacceptable slop from you.
it is probably one of the very, very, very few naturally occurring foods that is high in fat and carbs together. Now, I'm not
Ooh, are you getting close to some truth now? Interesting. Pity that you've already sullied yourself by showing your incompetence.
not talking about frying a potato, that's adding carbs to fat, but actually naturally together. And so if we now look at a lot of the ultra processed foods, they are this magical mix, right, between the fat and carbs that I guess in some ways call back to our instinct of liking this high energy food.
Still nothing to do with energy. So you've made an allusion quite correctly there to the effects of the Randall cycle, which I'm sure you don't even know exists. But straight away, you've interpreted that as being having anything whatever to do with energy, which it fucking doesn't. It's not an energy-based issue. Still.
And the term is hyperpalatability.
Hyperpalatability.
Let's use big words, though. That'll make people believe that we're credible.
So, yeah, I mean, there's some good evidence that manufacturers have worked for this exact formula
Of course they fucking have.
and proportions of carbohydrates to fats to actually design those into foods.
Right, so there you go.
And then they're heavily marketed, and then they're priced quite cheaply, and you get a match made for commercial heaven, which makes it more challenging then for us to sort of resist.
Well, only if you've got no self-discipline.
Well, thank you. Let's go to the next question.
Hi, I'm Christine Hewitt, and my question is, can we nurture our gut flora via our diet?
Of course. However, we know more about the gut flora, what it should be, what shape it should be, how it should be made up and how it shouldn't. We know less about that, I should say, than we do about the surface of Mars, for sure.
In the way a number of food and drink products claim.
Yeah, well, if you believe the claims made by such products, I guess that's Darwin in action, really, isn't it?
And do we need to?
That's a
Not really. Everything you put in your mouth is a probiotic, isn't it? Absolutely everything.
very good question. I should say that we have a model
There you go. See, a model. Thanks, Brian.
of a gut there. This is really bad audio, but I think it's
I will
fascinating.
have to show it.
Fascinating nonetheless.
So this prop, which I will show, and then I will let the gastroenterologist in the panel speak
Yeah,
to
just,
it.
just to see what we're talking about.
So
here.
this is a life-size knitted. Thank you to the Burwell WI Women's Institute, who knitted this for me, and this is life-size. So I'm going to pass it along if we can. This is the tongue, esophagus. This cacophony of pillows over here is the accessory organs. Okay, so this is the small intestine. Okay, that is not so small. And then, it keeps going. This is the appendix.
How long is it?
21 to 22 feet, depending on whether you are 6'5" or 4 foot or 4'2".
And it can be used as a scarf.
I know
and then-
exactly. Lady Gaga's food
It's
stuff.
cold.
Exactly.
Well, I am glad you brought this out actually, because this is not an inert thing, right? So this gut will contain roughly 2 kilograms, if not more, of material, which is all your juicy sloshing around microbes. Those
2
microbes.
kilograms.
Yeah, huge. Has a gargantuan mass.
No, it's not. It's 2 kilograms. It doesn't need describing as anything other than 2 kilograms. That tells us exactly how much it weighs.
of microbes in there. And they are unique to you, as unique as your own fingerprint is. Nobody in the world has the same microbiome as anybody else, okay, which is amazing. The microbes that live inside you, they are in a state of flux. So you
Yeah,
can
they couldn't give a flux.
change the way your
I'm here all week.
gut microbes are, and in turn they can have a beneficial or indeed a poor impact on your health long term.
Yeah, and the problem is we don't know enough about them or how they're made up or what speciations are good, bad or indifferent to be able to actually predict what's going to happen for any given individual still. So this is a line of logic that's pretty much a waste of effort.
How you can really optimize your gut health is to have, and it's a very simple message, as much whole food plant-based diet as you possibly can.
Oh dear, I've lost all respect for you now. You fucking idiot. You ridiculous, ignorant twat. No. False. Absolutely false. No matter how attractive you are. False.
Okay, I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan.
You're also not a credible source of information based on what you've just said. And you're out of your lane. Get back in your fucking lane.
However, a diet where you have whole grains,
No. Last fucking thing you should do.
okay,
Well, second last.
nuts and seeds, fruit and vegetables,
No. Don't need any of that either. No.
pulses, legumes, spices,
No. Don't need any of those things at all. None ever.
the good stuff.
No. Absolute fucking nonsense. You silly girl. No.
Okay.
No, it's not fucking okay. No, it isn't okay. No.
And the more of that you can have, the more dietary fiber
No. The exact requirement for dietary fibre is none at all. Not 1 single gram ever. None.
you have. Fiber, the forgotten nutrient.
It's not a fucking nutrient. You get almost nothing from it. A small amount of fibre, that which is somewhat accessible to a very small portion of bacteria, you can fermentatively, you can get a very small amount of fully saturated, by the way, short chain fatty acids out of that. That's it. The rest of it passes through untouched. It's not a nutrient. Don't be so fucking ridiculous.
Not even considered a nutrient by some,
Because it fucking isn't one, that's why.
but it's so important
No, it fucking isn't. Wrong.
to this bad boy here.
No, it fucking isn't. Complete, utter fucking nonsense.
And by improving the amount
Yeah, that's right. What a shock that guy would be interested in the back end. Yeah? Enough said.
of fiber that you have in your diet, I think that is the first and most important fundamental change you can make to your gut health.
That's right. And the best thing that you can do is remove all of it. All fibre should be gone from your diet. There is no place in the human diet for fibre, clearly.
Then we come on to the realm of, well, should I have supplements or probiotics?
No, because everything that you chew up and swallow is a probiotic because it comes with its own flora. Absolutely everything. Goodness gracious, this is ridiculous.
In the form of manufactured goods.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't be doing that at all. That's fucking Russian roulette, actually.
Well, I have to say, I'm always very careful when I'm telling people to
You're clearly not very careful because you've just opened up your mouth and said a bunch of ridiculous, false, nonsensical garbage publicly, pretending to be some kind of expert in the field. The fact that you are an allopathically trained gastroenterologist doesn't mean you know absolutely anything at all about how this thing should work. Clearly, it's absolutely patent that you don't. You've just promoted a bunch of plant-based nonsense, which is non-food, and fibre, which is ultimately, if anything, patently damaging for gut function in human beings. Unacceptable, lovey.
part with any of their own money, particularly when there are good homemade solutions, okay? So something like a lovely natural yogurt has loads of good microbes in it. Rekindle that relationship with your sauerkraut jar, you know, it's
None of those things are things that you should do at all, in fact, no.
worth it. We are losing this connection that we have to fermentation, this connection to
The only thing that's being lost, I think, is our grasp on objective reality as a society. More and more every year, it seems like reality is further and further away. And it's because we've lost our discipline, our epistemological discipline. And it's because little girls, frankly, like this one here, get to put themselves forward as an expert and say stuff that is fundamentally, demonstrably, absolutely 180 degrees out of phase with objective reality and be lauded and applauded for so doing. It's absolutely fucking criminal. This is why I'm so glad the BBC is about to be a thing of the past. Good riddance.
The microbes that actually is very fundamental to us as human beings. So I'm
Yes, that's correct, but we don't know how exactly.
very much for home-based fermentation
Well, then you're a fucking idiot. Sorry about that, not sorry.
and seeing if you can make food-based solutions rather than going out. So in summary, the food that you eat is basically able to really improve the health of your microbiome. And
Except we don't know in what way or how. And clearly, you don't have the first fucking clue, love.
in turn, that has huge impacts on your health. And dietary fibre is probably the critical part of all of that.
Yes, in that it should be avoided at all costs.
It's the same advice that you've given in the answer to every question, isn't it, basically?
Doesn't make it right, does it, Brian?
Which is whole foods and vegetables and fibre.
Which is the wrong advice. That is not an appropriate diet for Homo sapiens sapiens, a human being. Human beings are obligate hyper-carnivores, patently, demonstrably, and unequivocally. For goodness sake.
Yes. So it's quite a relatively, although we've said it's a complicated subject,
No, it fucking isn't. It's very, very simple.
there is a simple message there.
Yeah.
In that
The simple message is wrong.
sense.
It can be
Lisa.
distilled.
You know, why is it that the whole foods are better?
They're not. You ridiculous twat.
So there are trials, clinical trials.
No, there fucking aren't. Before you say anything else, no, there aren't. Wrong.
Of when isolated nutrients from foods have been taken, like beta carotene or vitamin C. If you take those pills, there isn't really a benefit shown. And
That's because of a lack of any ability to do properly controlled, properly observed, properly powered, properly tenured interventions on human beings still. Just writing clinical controlled randomized trial on the title of a paper doesn't make it one. The fact that it approximates some of those disciplines in a half-assed way does not make it that. It isn't that. Still. Jesus.
there's a multi-billion-dollar industry in all these supplements and so on. But when you eat the fruit and the vegetables from which these are sourced, there are health benefits.
No, none of those have been established. Health benefit is a cause and effect statement. It requires experimental work. Do you have any of that? No, you fucking don't. Still, shut the fuck up. What's next?
And the reason is, again, going back to that complexity.
It's complex. It's too much for we dumblings to understand. I wish I wasn't so stupid.
If you
Tell us all about how complex it is, though.
take a given fruit, like an apple or an orange or even a banana, whatever, it's got thousands of things going on inside it in the food matrix.
Ah, the food matrix. The good old food matrix. The what now? The fucking what?
So if you just take the isolated nutrient, you're losing all those other things, including fiber
Which you don't need.
and vitamins and minerals and
Which you don't need mostly.
so on. And the same thing, I think, applies to probiotics.
Certainly not in the amounts that we're told we need them.
If you take them as a supplement,
Well, that's Russian roulette, as I said.
you're getting only that thing. Whereas if you have it from the natural foods, like yogurt or fermented foods,
Yeah,
and
but fermented foods are not natural foods. Neither's yogurt, really. Nothing wrong with yogurt in the right amount at the right time, but it's not because of any bacteria that grow in it that make it a viable option. It's got nothing to do with it whatsoever.
the fiber part of it, then you're getting all the other goodies
The goodies, you say. Yep, okay.
that are part of the food matrix as
The
well.
what now, sorry? Sorry, the what?
You're going to pass back my gut.
Oh, we're going to.
Just in case.
Yes, I suspect that's not the first time he's used that exact sentence. Anyway, that's for another day.
I know we're going to get looked at by the by the producers. I really feel the stare. I'm sorry, but FYI.
Well, we have a question, another question from the audience now about something we haven't discussed too much yet, actually, which is about protein.
Hello, my name is Jane Habib, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on high protein foods that are available now in lots of supermarkets.
Nita.
This will be interesting.
Okay. So there's a real protein mania out there now.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
And this is kind of history repeating itself, where at one point the food industry followed the scientific publications
There aren't any still.
and research
Still isn't any.
when they made low-fat products. And
Well, that wasn't science. It never was.
everything was low-fat, low-fat, low-fat.
That's right, but that doesn't mean it was based on science. It fucking wasn't.
But what happened instead was sugar was added.
That's
and
right. Who paid for that?
we still have increasing rates of obesity because we focus on one nutrient. And the same is happening now with protein. So at a population level, on average, we're getting far more protein than the body actually needs.
Coming from a woman who has professed to come from an ethnic background where they have the single worst health crisis brewing away anywhere on this planet. The highest rate of diabetes anywhere in the world, lower public health status than many third world countries, literally, who now wants to demonize protein, which is akin to demonizing meat, because what's meat made out of? All right?
So
The very thing we've evolved on. The very thing that 65% of the dry weight of our bodies is construed from, protein. We get too much of it, she says. Based on what? According to whom?
need is around just under a gram per kilogram of your body weight.
Absolute fucking nonsense. Rubbish. Who told you that? You ridiculous cunt.
So for a 70-kilo man, that's about 56 grams per day.
Oh my God. Try that, boys and girls. See how you go. You ridiculous twat.
And for a typical, whatever typical woman
There
is,
you go. What is that? What's a typical woman?
at 60 kilos, that would be around 48 grams.
Jesus Christ. Seriously? You're telling a 60-kilogram woman, which would not be remotely average in today's society, would it? They might be that when they're 12, most of them, and you're telling that person to eat 48 grams of protein a day. Wow.
And on average intake is way more than that.
Well, good.
So it's the worried well who are being trapped into.
Who are they? The worried well. Are you aware of any public health statistics at all? The well?
Going for all these protein products. There are special groups in the population who do need more protein. So as we
The ones that are in the species Homo sapiens sapiens, they're the ones that need more protein than you're projecting there, lovey. Yeah.
age, we need more protein because we get muscle loss. And postmenopausal women are more prone to getting what's called sarcopenia and so on. So
They're also, it seems, prone to running their mouths off about shit they know absolutely fucking nothing about. Apparently.
yes, protein is important, but it's being pushed way too much now.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
It's boring, perhaps, but it comes back to the whole foods. For the protein, go to the food sources because,
Meat. Good.
again, these protein powders and shakes and so on ultimately have all sorts of things added
Yes,
to
that's right. So you should get your protein from meat. Absolutely, yes.
them.
The protein powders actually constipate a lot of people, really do.
Yes.
And they also really give lots of digestive issues to lots of my patients.
Yes.
And actually, the solution to this is to not think so much about protein. Rather, let's focus on the forgotten nutrient, which we actually aren't getting enough of.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Did you not just already run your mouth off about this? Are you a fucking one-trick pony, love? Do you have anything else in your toolkit other than crapping on about something you know absolutely fucking nothing about whatsoever? Fibre, you say? Wow. We've just finished with you. You've had your turn. You've been corrected by yours truly, an actual scientist. No, you want to go off on that one again.
which is fibre.
No, it isn't. False. Ridiculous. Wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely wrong.
And lots of people don't know that they need 30 grams at least of fibre a day.
Most people, actually, especially in this community, know damn well that that is false and that the exact dietary requirement for fibre in the human enteric system is not 1 single fucking gram ever. None at all.
You know, over 80% of us, I think, are not actually getting that.
Well, that's good. And the closer we get to no fibre being put into the human gut, the better.
8%.
Only 8%. There we go. Oh, so, you know, it's ludicrous, really.
And
That
what's ludicrous is you ridiculous cunts sitting there pretending you know dick about fuck regarding this when it's absolutely patent and clear that you don't. At all.
we're focusing so much on protein.
Only
The
8.
very thing your body is made out of. We shouldn't be focusing on that. What we should instead be doing is pouring piles and piles of indigestible garbage into our gut that we cannot get nutrition from, to speak of, that will, it seems, cause inflammation and dysfunction in our guts, either immediately or at some point, and that there is absolutely no science whatsoever in support of. Only theology, bought and paid for theology. And this is supposed to be a discussion about science. Wow.
Percent of us are getting enough fibre.
According to whom, on the basis of what, Brian?
Yeah, that's from our National Diet and Nutrition Survey, the latest report.
So what would be your recommendation to remedy
Who
that?
gives a fuck? She's an ignorant cunt. Who gives 2 fucks what her recommendation is? It's going to be wrong.
At people that are listening, what should they eat more of every day?
Whole foods.
Well, whole
Well, what's that? Meat's a whole food. Meat and animal fat that comes with that meat, that's whole food. Yep, I agree with that. Sorry, we're just playing on. I thought that was the name of the game.
and
Why is that funny? Somebody explain to me why that is funny. What is the amusement there? I wish I wasn't so easily confused.
for the protein needs, people automatically think protein means egg
No, they don't. What a ridiculous thing to say.
or dairy or meat. And
Do any of those things contain protein at all, kids? Again, perhaps I'm just confused. I wish I wasn't so stupid and so easily confused. Fancy believing that you can get protein from an egg or dairy or meat. That's completely wrong, apparently. Where do we get protein from? One of the worst sources of protein available. Plant sources, according to this ridiculous buffoon here. Oh, my bad. I've been wrong all these years. Sorry about that.
animal source foods. But actually, you can get pretty complete.
Pretty complete. Can you? A pretty complete set.
Set of amino acids from a plant-based diet.
No, you fucking can't. No, it's not realistic. Wrong. That's why many, many vegans end up looking like skeletal fucking corpses well before their time. Not looking at anyone in particular. What do you think this vast sarcopenia, this vast lack of condition that these imbeciles express almost invariably, what do you think that's about? All while beating what's left of their chests carefully so they don't break their ribs, suggesting that the problem is we're all eating too much protein. You absolute fucking imbeciles. God's sake. What's wrong with the world? Well, we're looking at it here. Anyway, as I said, soon to be a thing of the past is the BBC. Good fucking riddance.
If there's one thing you are going to count your fibre.
Yes, 0. None at all. Good. Job's done.
You will learn how to improve the amount of fibre in your diet.
Yes, to 0. That's an improvement.
And it can be as simple as swapping from white to brown bread.
Oh my God, are you that fucking stupid? She clearly is. That fucking stupid. Wow.
It can be as simple as adding a tablespoon of flax or chia seeds to your porridge.
Oh, great. Have some fucking oxalate soup, you dumb bitch. You retarded cum guzzler.
Morning.
And in terms of just on additives, because you can take fiber supplements, right?
But why would you? Why would you do that? Because you're a fucking imbecile, an arrogant imbecile that doesn't have the ability to discern who it is that's worth listening to.
Is the advice the same, again, that you should really, the best way to do it is eat it?
This is a bit like a Monty Python sketch, except this is not funny, Rob. This is the slop being dished up to the UK public as some kind of authoritative source of good information. It's absolutely fucking disgraceful from top to bottom. Wow.
As part of a food and not just something you sprinkle on these kind of supplements.
Personally,
you
I
can get.
believe yes, we should have it as.
Yeah, but love, you've got no credibility, so your beliefs about anything from this point forward, maybe just shut up and be pretty. Okay?
Food. I also think that if you are on this mission to increment your fibre,
Well, then you're a fucking idiot and you need to stop that immediately. You need to go the other way.
please do it slowly.
Don't do it at all. Do not increase your fibre intake. Do change your fibre intake slowly. I agree with that. Change it downward towards zero slowly until you get it to zero, and then keep it there, ideally. None of us are perfect, of course. I'm a hedonist and a human being. I tend to get sucked in and eating some fibre from time to time as well. Never does a good thing for me, though.
Okay.
Again, that was absolutely fucking hilarious, wasn't it? Change your diet slowly. Fuck me. What are we dealing with here, boys and girls? Is there a single functioning brain cell amongst these absolute fucking imbeciles? It seems not.
For the benefit of yourself and others you live with.
Well, if you want to benefit others you live with, don't eat fibre.
It's really, really important to do it slow. Don't just go from here and go, right, I'm going to do it, and then go, oh, I hate her the next day.
Well, we have a question now about ultra-processed food.
Great, what's that?
Hi, I'm Leslie Thompson, and I just wanted to know if you feel that all ultra-processed foods are harmful.
Well, first of all, what's a ultra-processed foods? What's that?
And what are some of the less visible ultra-processed foods that we may think are healthy options?
I question the definition of the ultra-processed foods. I think ultimately that is the issue. It's
There we go. The second sensible thing this clown's had to say.
too broad a church. In this country, about 50% of our calories.
And then he spoils it by saying calories, though. Can't last more than a few seconds with these fucktards, can it? Get your fucking act together, you fucking clowns.
Come from ultra-processed food. So anything that's prepackaged, anything that has been and put into sort of some kind of container is pretty much ultra-processed. I think there are uncontroversial foods that we would look at, and most of us would go, ooh, maybe we should have less of, rather than good or bad. Maybe we
Like fibre,
should have less of these.
like plant material.
But there are a lot of foods that are industrially processed. This is what ultra processing is. It's not fermentation. It's not cooking. It's not brewing. Okay, this is processing of food and has kept us alive. Ultra processed foods are industrial processes that we cannot replicate within a domestic situation, and that's can be off-putting to some people. And there's some foods that are less good for you. But they're
According to whom, on the basis of what?
actually a whole lot of foods that get caught in this vacuum cleaner of ultra-processed foods definition, which are industrially processed, but not actually bad for you. And so
According to whom, on the basis of what?
So I think we need to go back to more empirical descriptions of.
Great. That would require us to do some science to provide some numbers, because that's what empirical means. Whoops, there are no science being done. There is no science being done. It's impossible to do, impractical, infeasible financially. Ethics committees won't allow it. We're done. Shut the fuck up. Sooner rather than later would be good. Oh yes, that'll be happening soon. Good.
Our food, I like salt, sugar, fat, fiber, protein, things that we can measure. There's a gram in front of it. There's something that we can talk about. So in answer to your question, no, using the current definition of ultra-processed foods, not all ultra-processed foods are bad for you, and some foods which you don't think are ultra-processed at all are actually ultra-processed. There's a halo of health around certain types of foods. Oat milk, for example. Right? If you
Well, oat milk is not healthy. Anyone that pours oat milk down their ridiculous fucking neck, well, there's Darwin in action. You deserve what you get out of that.
you can convert milk from an oat, right? Then by definition it's ultra-processed. And
Well, milk? No. Milk is the lactation of a mammal. Okay? Or a duck-billed platypus, which is not a mammal. Milk is not something you get from a plant.
so just but people don't think about this. Anyway,
I'm glad this is so fucking hilarious. I really am.
Christina, you're absolutely right.
I just wanted to chip in really to say that the jury is still out. There's not hard scientific evidence
On any aspect of hard human outcomes as it relates to any aspect of nutrition whatsoever.
so that ultra-processed foods are bad, that they should be excluded exclusively from our diet. I think some of the definitions get confused
I
sometimes.
think a lot of people get confused sometimes, love. Don't they?
And as Giles said, we don't really have a good scientific definition yet.
We don't really have any science at all on human nutrition, remember?
There's lots of work that's being done around
That
that.
doesn't mean it's good and that the work is worth doing. Just the fact that people are ferreting around and doing things doesn't mean we're actually getting any closer to answering any of these questions.
There's been some really good research.
No, there fucking hasn't. Still. False. See, these arrogant, ridiculous theological cunts are completely incapable of making a correct statement, putting a period on the end of that, and then shutting their fucking hole. They have to spoil it every time by, in the very next sentence, saying something that's absolutely, fundamentally, completely fucking wrong, ignorant as fucking stupid, and just completely destroys all the work they've just done. It's incredible, by which I mean completely lacking in any credibility whatsoever.
That looked at the overlap using National Diet Nutrition Survey between ultra-processed foods and foods that are high in fat, salt and sugar. And the overlap is about 59%.
So fucking what?
So, it's reasonable, but it's not exclusive. And I think one of the things that would be useful to start to think about to directly answer your question is actually for consumers to understand which products meet that benchmark of being high in fat, salt and sugar, and that a front of pack label to say this food is high in fat, salt and sugar. So you know very clearly.
Well, do nutrition labels not already provide that information? To plus or minus 20% accuracy? Yeah, they do. So buyer beware. Okay?
Which ones the government is saying you should be having fewer
The
of
government has no place telling people what to eat still. No place at all. It's not your business as a government.
these foods. It would also help with legislation. So it would help with enforcement of our current rules that are supposed to ban high-fat, salt, sugar foods in prominent places in our retail food outlets. It would also help with the advertising ban that's coming in.
So you said salt, sugar, fat. There is a question from Ellie Ton here who wants to know what the evidence is that reducing salt in processed foods improves population health.
There you go. Good question, Ellie.
So do we have good evidence?
No. No, we do not. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the money.
Yes, we do.
No, we fucking don't, you ridiculous cunt. No.
So in the early 2000s, up till about
Stop talking, you ridiculous, mindless cunt. No, we don't have good evidence for that claim. Still.
2015, 2016 or so, there was a government salt reduction program
So fucking what?
in this country. And that had the food industry reformulating and
So fucking what?
producing foods that were still palatable, tasty,
According to whom, on the basis of what?
etc., but they had reduced the amount of salt.
We understand what salt reduction means, you fucking ridiculous cunt.
them. Some very nice work was done by colleagues
Very nice work. That's very scientific of you. No.
here at Queen Mary University.
Shite it. Shall we wait? No, you're not going to cite the very nice work. You're just going to tell us there's some very nice work. That was all about reducing salt, and what they did to reduce salt is they reduced salt. And that absolutely proved that reducing salt was a good idea because they did it. Good.
London and other colleagues, which showed that it had a very impactful.
No, scientists litigate science with empirical data points. You ridiculous cunt. They don't say words like impactful influence. What are the numbers? What outcome variables are you referring to? And can you show me cause and effect between those two variables? Or are you talking about a temporal association between an idea at a government level that we should reduce salt and something else that coincided with that? In which case, how would you then describe that as doing good science? Please explain that to me. I wish I wasn't so stupid.
Influence on reducing hypertension and cardiovascular disease.
Right, so reducing is a cause and effect statement. This is a temporal associative statement about something that was purportedly done at a government level and some other outcome with none of the controls, observations, or disciplines of the epistemology of science that would require if we were going to make a cause and effect statement. Do we remember Haleman? Of course we do. Very smart, Haleman. Where are you, Luke? Are you still with us?
Strokes and heart disease and so on. So it is real. It works because.
Oh, right, because you said so. It's real and it works because you said here's an association between something that I'm telling you happened and some other thing that I'm telling you happened. Fuck right off. Tell your mates to fuck off too.
The evidence is pretty solid.
Oh my God, are you stoned? You should be. With real fucking stones. Goodness gracious.
But at some point, that government policy changed, and the responsibility then went to the food industry itself. And those gains that had been made have been plateauing. I'm sure, Christina, you can add more to that.
Yeah.
More? You didn't say any fucking thing of any value. You said there was some good evidence, and then you proved absolutely that there fucking wasn't. Good. Let's listen to the vegan, though. She'll know all about salt.
I agree. I think that's, again, where government regulation is important because
government should keep their fucking nose out of people's private lives. Completely.
it levels the playing field. So everybody does that together, an incremental reduction. You know, there was a really good scheme that tried to really reduce by 20%, say, in cereals and in some...
But the thing to do is to reduce cereals by 100%. That would have been a better thing to do.
Yogurts and other foods that are everyday foods that really...
They're not everyday foods. They're not foods at all.
Don't need the level of sugar that they have.
We don't need any sugar at all in our diets. None. Nor anything that breaks down to sugar, which is all plant materials, you stupid, mindless cunt.
And they did reduce them, but it wasn't universal. And so some of those sugar contents have now come up. So those voluntary schemes are not as successful as an incremental reduction that is mandated, that says if you are identifying as this kind of yogurt or this kind of cereal, breakfast cereal, therefore we should be reducing your sugar content by so much over 10 years or something.
Or something. Waffle, 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 obfuscation, words that mean nothing, and then suffix the whole thing with or something. Okay, good.
That would have a huge impact on the population's health.
As a chef, I think, you know, you can reduce salt down by increasing flavour from other spices. And we have a whole world of spices out there where we can experiment and actually create products which are wonderful, new and diverse, but still have that lesser salt. Here's me saying...
Yeah, but we still haven't remotely established any reason whatsoever to reduce the intake of salt. It's begging the question fallacy from a bunch of imbeciles who singly lack any epistemologic discipline, comprehension of the scientific process, and that includes the host, And not one of these 5 individuals is an expert in human nutrition. Not one of them. Still. What's next?
I love crisp, but there are some salty snacks which have more concentration of salt in them than seawater.
That's true, isn't it, boys?
I mean, that is insanity. And those...
According to whom, on the basis of what? You very attractive, yet singularly lacking individual. You silly little girl. You arrogant little girl. My word.
same products have what we call a health halo around them. So they are marketed as being good for us, you know, in other ways, higher fiber or higher protein or whatever it is. So we've got to really like take a bit of a nuanced approach here and see where the role of chefs and creativity lies in salt reduction.
Let's go to the next question, which is about obesity.
Oh, this will be fun.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and my question is about weight loss drugs.
Oh my God, what's that got to do with fucking nutrition? Sometimes, boys and girls, it gets tough. It gets tough to remain even remotely like in a good sense of humour about this kind of nonsense. And let's have a question about being obese from someone who clearly fucking isn't. And let's make the question about drugs instead of about food, which is what this discussion is supposed to be about.
I've used Manjaro with great success after years of following nutrition advice that never really worked for me. Does the effectiveness of drugs like this suggest that nutrition science has underestimated the biological drivers of appetite and weight? And if so, can we still fully trust the science that told us diet alone was the answer?
Nobody that understands science has ever said the answer to obesity is diet alone. Nobody. And it certainly isn't fucking drugs. Drugs with quite potential serious side effects up to and including death. Word.
And how should nutrition science respond to the fact that a drug is now doing what decades of dietary guidelines could not?
The drug isn't doing any such fucking thing. That's begging the question fallacy.
So listen. Listen.
Yes, let's laugh about it some more, because that'll solve the problem.
Okay, you're asking two separate questions. The nutrition science
does not exist still.
And I'm not a nutrition scientist person.
There you fucking go. So shut the fuck up, get your ass off that chair, get off this panel. You have nothing to add here. This is a discussion about nutrition science. There it is. Fuck me.
Say is there to improve your diets, what's healthy, what's good, what's bad for you. But
that's what it purports to do, but it singularly fails to do so because it does not fucking exist still.
You can still eat too much good stuff and end up with, for example, obesity, overweight, and things like that. Then there's going to be the drivers, which is what I study, on what makes you more drawn towards food, healthy or unhealthy, and therefore end up eating more and still end up having obesity. Because you can have obesity even with a wonderful diet.
Tell you what, here's a challenge. See if you can make yourself obese eating nothing but steak and the associated fat that comes with that steak. I challenge anyone to achieve it. Okay? It's not impossible, but damn nearly.
But just way too much of it. And so I think if you take that question into two parts, then we still need the nutrition advice. We still need the...
No, we don't. Not the nutrition advice that's currently being offered out there as gold standard. We need nothing of the sort. We need those people to shut the fuck up. That's what we need. Silence would be vastly preferable to the constant stream of excremental slop disinformation being fed to the public by people with barrows to push, agendas to subserve, bank balances to look after. Silence would be vastly better, in fact.
Policies to improve our food environment.
No, the government has no business intervening in food at all. None, still.
Because that will prevent obesity, okay? And
absolute fucking rubbish.
That will improve our health.
Rubbish.
The drugs that are there, they are powerful. They're
rubbish.
They are a drug. They're not a cosmetic tool, but the drugs that are there are very useful.
No.
To treat obesity.
No. Wrong.
And I need to declare interest here that I do.
Ah. Okay, so shut the fuck up. He's about to admit to being compromised by conflict of interest. Okay, so shut the fuck up.
Advise a lot of the major pharma companies.
There you go. Shut the fuck up. You fucking criminal.
About how these drugs work. Just thought I'd tell people that.
I just wanted to say I don't think it's an either or, as Giles said. We need both. So yes, there will be cases where, you know.
The last thing we need from you, love, is nutrition advice or advice on anything actually, because, well, your judgment is clearly painfully flawed, badly flawed. Okay, what you need to do is shut the fuck up and stop being quite so fucking arrogant, frankly.
Obesity drugs are needed and necessary.
Absolute fucking nonsense.
As a short-term sort of kickstart.
Absolute fucking nonsense.
To then following a healthier dietary pattern.
Which you have fucking no idea what that even is.
And being able to maintain a healthy body weight.
Again? Really? Okay, very fucking credible.
I think some of the major risks for me are around nutritional density and quality of diet. So if people...
Risks, you say?
People are taking obesity drugs and following the same unhealthy diet.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
Actually, there's real risks of nutritional...
Risks to whom? What studies underpin this claim of risk? None at all still? Okay, shut the fuck up.
Deficiencies, and we're already seeing them. Do you know there's about 11,000 hospitalisations each year due to nutritional deficiency?
Yeah, it looks like you're not far away from that yourself, love.
And most of them are scurvy and rickets. I mean...
Rubbish. Fuck's sake. What are you going to back that claim up with?
And they are things that are decades, you know, in the past, centuries in the past, and we're seeing them again. And largely, again, it comes back to whole grain foods and fruits and vegetables.
No, it fucking doesn't come back to any of those things.
And it's just not having enough of them.
Rubbish. You don't need any of those things in your diet whatsoever still. In this century or the last. None.
We definitely need the food environment policies
No, we don't. We need the government to shut the fuck up about food. It's got no business talking to us about food. None at all still.
Reshape our food environments so that we're getting good nutritional quality.
Yeah, but the government doesn't fucking know what that is any more than you do, you ignorant, stupid cunt. Fuck's sake.
As well as having obesity drugs where they're needed.
No, we don't need drugs.
So it's essentially the point that if you're eating less, you have to pay more attention to the things you really need to be eating.
Correct, yeah.
Yes. And I would say it's not that the nutritional advice has failed.
Oh, fuck. Just when you think they couldn't possibly say anything any more fucking stupid than they already have. Wow. Oh, there we go. It's not that the advice has failed. Oh, okay. Holy shit.
Our food environment and what's available to us as cheap, energy-dense calories.
You don't consume calories. Neither do you consume energy. Neither of those things are things that are consumed by the human body.
Is to blame. With these anti-obesity drugs, if you stop taking them, the weight goes right up 100% as well.
That's why the drug isn't the answer.
So either you take these for life, or you take them as a trigger to learn about how to eat better.
And you would have to learn about how to eat better by not listening to the BBC or any of these absolute ridiculous cunts on it. These absolute fucking imbeciles here.
And physical activity, of course, we should be.
Oh, yes, calories in, calories out. That's important.
I feel really importantly that
That's good, England.
we have to understand obesity as a phenomenon. For me, obesity is a disease. Okay, there is no black and white about this. Obesity is a disease. The characterization of the disease is feeling hungry all the time and never feeling full. Those are the symptoms of the disease.
Yeah, not everybody that's obese feels that way, though, so that's wrong.
And chronic illnesses and diseases require treatments.
Yes.
And we now have treatments, albeit flawed to a certain degree.
Hey, what degree is that? Every single fucking degree.
But we do have helpful treatments which help in
Helpful treatments which help. Is that like the thing from the Cat in the Hat where they're going to have some fun that is funny? Good work, love.
this disease which we call obesity. Now,
Well, you're calling it a disease, and I'm just letting you do it. So why are you saying we're calling it that? We're not doing any such thing. That's you.
think of obesity almost like putting a radio on, okay?
No, that's not okay either. No, obesity is nothing like putting on a radio remotely. See, obesity is the overfarrage of fat on one's body, not fat. And putting on the radio is the thing you do when you turn a knob or switch a switch that makes noise come out of a machine. See how that's quite different? I'm confused again. I wish I wasn't so stupid.
So all of us have that natural ability to gain weight.
Oh, and let me guess. We can all also turn on a radio if we want to. Is that what she's going to say? Because that will really help.
But many of us are able to just have that in the background and our weight is stable. But our environment is like the volume on that radio.
No, it fucking isn't. Not at all. Rubbish.
And it can really dial up or dial down whether you...
Right. So basically what she's doing now is she's trying to remove the responsibility from the individual who is obese for their obesity. That's not acceptable. The person that is responsible for the obesity is that person. Or in the case of a child, their parent, or parents, or guardians, or caregivers. Okay? It's not society's fault. No. Not at all.
Then become obese or not. And that's where we've got to tackle this front on and say, actually, the nutrition advice goes hand in hand with drugs like Mounjaro, etc.
No. Neither nutrition advice in its current form nor drugs are indicated for this problem. Both should be withdrawn entirely.
But fundamentally, unless you start visualizing obesity as a disease process, you will not give it the due credence that it deserves.
Absolute fucking nonsense. Not a single thing to commend that last rant at all. Complete garbage.
We have time for one last question, which is really, I think, bringing everything we've discussed together.
Hi, I'm Becky Tucker, and I would like to know if we are close to being able to provide reliable, personalised diet recommendations, or does the weight of current evidence still suggest that a whole food, plant-based patterns are broadly beneficial across populations?
The answer is no, we're no closer to that. And what you've just said about plant-based diets is absolutely, utterly, demonstrably, unequivocally wrong, ignorant, arrogant, stupid, and inane. There we go. What's next?
I'm tempted to say
Let's laugh again, though, because it's fucking hilarious, that question. Did you see how fucking hilarious that question was?
Can all agree on the second bit, but it's a very good question because we discussed it before briefly. Medicine, there's very tailored advice. Drug use is becoming more and more
No, it isn't, Brian. Absolute fucking garbage, once again, from you.
Tailored to the individual. Is it the case in nutrition?
It's a very difficult question because
the answer is no.
The very, very first points we made about how do we measure the nutrition. Within the genetics of metabolic disease, what is the strongest link between genes and metabolic disease is actually the type of metabolic disease you end up getting when you actually end up carrying too much fat. So that we have a very, very good idea on. Now, the moment we get into a situation of trying to ask, well, now with your genes versus you should be on a Mediterranean diet or keto or vegan, then it becomes far more murky. No matter what people say, the science is not there yet.
There you go. And you didn't need the word yet, because it will never be there. We cannot do experiments on human beings still.
I think ultimately, if we get our messages from here, meaning stick to a whole food diet.
No, you haven't provided us any reason whatever in this program to take that ridiculous advice on board at all. None.
You know, and eat minimally processed foods. I think on average, that will benefit pretty much everybody in this room. Are there going to be people who benefit from it more than me or me less than someone else? Undoubtedly. Okay, because why would that not be the case? But
why would anyone benefit from eating more plants? They won't.
I think we are quite a bit away yet of measuring diets properly so that we can link it to the genetics. But there are going to be genetic differences between how we respond to even a whole food, minimally processed diet.
I get the sense you're suggesting they would be marginal relative to the broad sweep of the advice. So you're talking about smaller changes.
There are going to be smaller changes because I will struggle to identify a large enough population of people to be relevant who are going to be harmed by a whole food minimal processed diet. You never know. There are obviously going to be some people, but the vast majority of humankind, this is going to be good. And yes, there are going to be marginal differences between me and Nita and Salia, and and it's that's just going to be the case.
Yeah. I believe that there will be a time, and I hope that it's in my career, where we are more succinctly able to personalize nutrition advice for patients.
That would start with getting the first fucking clue of what the hell you're talking about, love. So you're starting from absolute fucking ground zero. You don't have the first fucking clue, patently, clearly, or obviously. So I doubt very much it will be in your career, because I think you lack the self-awareness to understand how vastly destitute of competence you are in this field. Sorry about that, not sorry.
But I don't believe that time has come now, and I believe that anybody who tells you that that time has come now is probably not telling the complete truth. But for me, in the meantime, personalisation of nutrition happens in your kitchen, and cooking is fundamentally important and is actually...
Did you hear that, Rob Kilts? You should cook.
The very tenet of...
Love you, Rob. There's nothing you can do about it.
...the conversation that we've had today. We keep talking about nutrition. Actually, what we're talking about, I feel, is cooking.
No. That's the first time it's been fucking mentioned in this program, you silly bitch.
Okay, getting into the kitchen. There's this lovely Latin saying, which is "coquo ergo sum." I'm sure I pronounced it wrong.
You
but
probably did, but I love the first bit about the cock.
It means I cook, therefore I am. And that is true, okay? There is no other creature on planet Earth that can cook, okay? From an anthropological standpoint, it is a fundamental activity that defines us as human beings. It's likely what made our gut shorter and what made our brain bigger and made us the sophisticated beings that we are today.
You think humans are sophisticated? Wow.
So in schools is where personalisation of nutrition really starts.
No, in schools is where depersonalisation of people occurs. That's where we do operant conditioning and we brainwash and program young children to learn how to comply. The bell rings, now you eat. The bell rings again, now you come back into class. The bell rings at the end of the day, now you can go home and do some more work at home and bring it back tomorrow when the bell rings again. Fuck's sake.
We teach toileting, we teach literacy, we teach numeracy, we teach...
Do you? How are those things going in the UK? Any of them, including the toileting?
Teach sex education, we teach...
Sex education? My word. It's clear this woman is completely divorced from objective reality.
Religious studies, we teach modern foreign languages, which we never use.
Well, again, this is a UK program. Have you ever been to the UK? English is a minority language. I'm being facetious and flippant. My word.
Yet, we don't teach nutrition and cooking.
They fucking do! Well, they attempt to. Wow!
So how do we...
Fuck, I hope Trump gets the full $5 billion that he's suing these cunts for. I hope he drives this whole institution so far asunder into the dust that not a single component molecule of the BBC is left unscathed. I hope this thing is so utterly destroyed by this lawsuit that has been quite rightly bought by Trump. Whether you support Trump or not, it's not my fucking problem. I don't care. But what I hope is that he destroys this fucking organisation permanently. Anyway, that's for another day.
Expect them to have the skills to be able to look at a pack and interpret the counts on it.
What the fuck is teaching a child to cook have to do with teaching a child how to sensibly read a nutrition panel? What? These cunts don't even think for a second before they open their rancid gobs, do they?
How do we expect them to be able to avoid ultra-processing of food? We can't expect those things if we've never taught it. So personalisation
Yes, we can't expect people to think for themselves. We can't have that.
happens in your kitchens.
I was going to go around the panel actually because we've run out of time to say what's the 30-second piece of advice.
I'm glad they ran out of time for that.
So you've just given your 30-second piece of advice very eloquently. Well, maybe I'll give it. So Nita, what would you say in summary if someone wants the quick answer to what we agreed was a very complicated problem?
Go for the whole foods wherever.
Die, my pretty fly! Eat the whole plant!
No.
Wherever you can.
No, wrong. Wrong, you stupid, ignorant, arrogant cunt. No.
And yes, life happens. Life is busy. We have kids, we have work, we have caring responsibilities, and various takeaway facilities are right there. But cooking at home and whole foods really make a difference.
Right, so meat and fat is a whole food. That's the only one that should be on the list of whole foods, really.
Christina?
I'm going to slot two in quickly. One is
That's what she said.
try a bean and pulse that you haven't done before
No,
and
don't do that.
incorporate it into a dish that you love.
No, don't do that at all, in fact.
The other one is about take a note of your food environments. And if you're starting to feel a bit frustrated about your food environment, write to your MP.
Oh, that'll help. You fucking ridiculous cunt. You utterly vacuous, moronic, ridiculous little girl.
The government are currently developing a food strategy.
Oh,
and
that'll help.
National food strategy, and we want health and sustainability to be part of that.
Yeah, but the government has no business doing anything of the sort, and they don't clearly have the ability to discern between good information and disinformation. So who gives a fuck what the government says? I don't.
Giles?
Everything in moderation, including moderation.
There you go. He's probably the most sensible one on this panel, even though he's vastly out of his lane and out of his depth.
I think I paraphrased that, but I think so. So I think that's probably the case where we need to be moderate, including the odd time when we are immoderate.
Hooray, crisps!
I'll sign up to that one. Well, thank you to our excellent panel. Giles Yeo.
Yeah, they weren't excellent, actually. I know you're just keeping the vibe of the show rolling, but no, they weren't excellent. They were destitute. They were incompetent. They were not representative of society at large. Did you notice? They were a theologically based group of individuals of a similar mindset from a similar political standpoint. They were not people from whom I would take advice on any matter whatsoever, let alone nutrition. And none of them were nutrition experts. Not one of them. Still. Anyway, there you go.
Nita Farooqui, Christina Vogel, and Saliha Mahmood Ahmed.
Right, well, there you go. That was absolutely fucking dreadful, wasn't it, boys and girls? Absolutely without anything whatsoever to recommend it. I'm glad you could spend this 2 hours with me today. I've had fun. Don't take it too seriously, but do take it seriously, if you know what I mean. Don't take the persona too seriously. It's just a bit of fun that I present this way. But what I actually said, try and challenge any of that. In fact, because what I said was factually correct, every single word of it. All right. There it is. Hope you enjoyed it. Join me next time when someone else will be wrong on the interwebs. And if it doesn't happen between now and Sunday, don't forget to join myself and quite likely the very lovely Lucy, that carnival nurse, on Sunday, where we will make sure that Ted has his whip ready to do the thing that he does and keep the show, under control, really. She'll be the questions master, and we'll have questions and answers then. So, there it is. Join me then. Let's sing the song just because why not? Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and eggs and not whole food plants. Just making sure you heard. See you next time. All right, hit the button, Ted. Anytime you're ready.